Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses anywhere, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. So, got a question about cold calling companies. Somebody asked me would I recommend any. So let me explain what these companies are, why you hire them, what my experience has been, and what my thoughts are on them. So first of all, these are companies that are going to hire people from depending on the price, usually other parts of the country, other parts of the world, like the Philippines, and they're going to pay people minimal amount, and hopefully these are good people who don't have much of an accent, and they're going to call lists that you give them, probably using a dialer that a predictive dialing system you provide for them, or some of them have their own, and they are going to call lists of potential sellers or prospects, as I refer to them. And they're going to probably use their own script, which basically says, hey, are you thinking about getting an offer? So I would say most of these companies are going to charge, it really depends. If they're Philippine-based, they're probably going to charge you somewhere around $8 to $10 an hour. If they are South American-based, they're going to charge you more. And some of them are US-based, they're going to charge you as much as $20 an hour, maybe even more to call. So here are my thoughts. No, my first thought is, and I've tried a few of them. My first thought is you must, and this, I know this is a snag, but I believe everybody doing this must call first themselves for at least a month. I'm not saying full-time for a month, but at least 10 to 16 hours a week for a month. Now, why? Why would I say that you must call? I would say you have to call because you have to be able to audit the cold calling company. And really, this is for any task that you're going to outsource. Almost any task that you're going to outsource, you need to know whether they're doing a good job or not. Right now, some tasks you can outsource where you'll know simply by the results. So, for example, if you're outsourcing an acquisition manager, you're going to know what their KPIs are, their key performance indicators are, and how many conversions they're getting. And it's either going to meet what you can do yourself or meet what you expect, or it's not, and you're going to see the quality of those deals. But on cold calling, it's very easy to hire someone to do something thinking that you will know if they're good or not, and then they won't. And I say this from experience, and I have had many students who tell me, I have a caller, and I say, do you record the calls? And he goes, yes, and I listen to the calls, and I say, this is not a good caller. Now, why can a caller not be good? The first way is very heavy accent. That's a turnoff to people who don't have a similar accent. I'm not saying that every accent is bad. I'm not saying that some accents aren't a Hispanic accent in Hispanic areas are maybe better. But if it's a heavy accent, it's going to turn off a lot of people in a lot of places. That's number one. Number two, there are people who just have no energy on the phone. Zero. Just call like this. Hi. This is Joan from Real Property Buyers. I was wondering if you would like to hear an offer on 123 Main Street. That's a huge turnoff, right? No one, even if someone wants to sell, they're going to be so turned off by the lack of energy. Third is sometimes there are people that have bad internet connections. There are people who have been trained in one way of doing it. I am a huge fan of getting confused and asking for help. So whenever I teach somebody to call cold, it's never, hi, this is Michael from Real Property Buyers. How you doing today? If somebody says that to me, I'm probably hanging up the phone, right? How are you doing today is the stupidest question to ask. Now, I understand I'm a New Yorker, and it might be different in, Midwest, or in the Bible Belt. Maybe somebody will be excited about that. I can't stand it. Right? I think it's terrible, and I think you have to differentiate yourself in the first minute of calling, because if you don't, and you sound like a regular salesperson, you are really doing two things. First of all, you're turning some people off, so they're not even going to speak to you. Second of all, you put up a wall, right? What they say is, even if you're going to buy a used car on the lot and you go to a used car lot and a salesman asks you, can I help you? You're going to say, just looking, right? Because we don't want to be sold. This is a tendency almost everybody has. I don't want to be sold. So if people think that you are selling them something, they are going to put up a wall and not be honest with you. So that's not good. So what I do usually when I call and when I teach people to do is I say, hi, I apologize, I might have the wrong number. Now, the truth is, it's very easy to say that honestly, because when you skip trace phones, very often you don't have the right number. So I say, I don't have the right number, I apologize. You almost want them to say, what can I do for you? Get to the point. And then you say, I always start with the address. I'm calling about 123 Main Street. I don't start with a name, because very often from the skip tracing, you'll get somebody related to the property who is not the actual person you're looking. And then you can carry on that conversation. If I say, hey, I'm looking for Alan Johnson, and you are Marie Johnson, who's his cousin, who used to live in the house, you can say wrong number and move on. But if I say I'm calling to make sure, and go, yeah, I think that's my cousin's house, you can start a dialogue. So you're really doing two things. You are doing a pattern interrupt. You're not sounding like every other salesperson, and you are allowing them to reach out and help you, which causes them to be more open. So I believe people should cold call first. I know people are terrified, right? And they're terrified on both sides. They're terrified of the rejection you're going to get, and you're going to get rejected a lot. You're going to get yelled at, screamed at. They're also terrified of somebody saying yes and not knowing what to say to them. So I think it's important that you do it, even if it's you start with 20 minutes a day, but you just build up so that you can then know when you audit your cold calling company or your cold caller, if you hire them, you will know whether they're doing a good job or not. About a month is enough for you to realize that. So I personally believe. So what these you could hire somebody in Upwork to do cold calling, and you should interview them, make sure they sound clear, and make sure they can follow a script. It'll be significantly less money than a cold calling company. Now, what the cold calling companies say they offer is that they offer this training, which I don't believe in much of at all, because I believe that I want to train. I don't want them trained for somebody else. I'm not getting into that store. So I don't mind doing the training myself. And they say that if a person leaves, when there is turnover on cold calling, it's very rare that somebody's going to cold call 40, 60 hours a week and not get burned out. But some people in the Philippines can do that. They're going to replace them with somebody else. So you don't have to worry about your cold calling not showing up one day, because if they don't show up, somebody else will do it. So I'm not diametrically opposed to cold calling companies. I just think if you have not cold called and don't know the difference between a good call and a bad call, the difference between a good caller and a bad caller, you should not hire anybody, and you should not in any way outsource these things, right? Whatever you're going to outsource, you need to be able to know for sure. That place is locked. I'm not getting in there. You need to know for sure that they're doing a good job. And the only way to do that is to listen to the calls and know from your own experience what's good and what's bad. So there are cold calling companies. There are good ones. The ones that are better are usually the ones that are U.S. expats, so people U.S. citizens who live elsewhere, and they're willing to take a lower a number, but that is not absolutely not going to be as inexpensive as people who are working in the Philippines or Egypt or other places like that. So my thoughts on cold calling companies are: do it yourself first. If you don't want to do it after that, or you feel like it's a better use of your resources, right? You have the money for it, but you don't have the time, then you can hire a cold calling company. But do not just jump into it and hire. And I can't tell you how many people have done this and then a year and a half later say, I got 20 leads in a year. That's not good if you're paying a lot of money. So those are my thoughts on cold calling. I hope this was helpful. Also, as a means to get started marketing, I believe cold calling is probably the best way to do it, because you're actually going to have a conversation with the. Well, maybe I can't get in there. Actually, going to have a conversation with the lead, with the prospect, and that is better than texting, which is very, very distant. Although texting is a good way to get business, it's just when you're starting, you need to have as many conversations with sellers as possible. So that's what I recommend. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to either howtoflipnewyork.com or learntoflipandwholesale.com. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching any media channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help my algorithm. A lot more people want to see my videos. And I post 5 times a week. I'm posting 3 times today because I didn't post the last 2 days. That's my mistake. So please keep the questions via comments coming. You can ask any question. It does not have to be about the video you're watching. If it's a simple question, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something that I've covered recently, I'll send you a link to a video. And if it's something that I haven't covered in a while or I've never covered, I will do a brand new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching.